Thank you, Mr. Chair, and of course to all the members of the Rules Committee. And I do want to thank, of course, Representative Higgins, who also, of course, chairs one of our subcommittees, and appreciate his work. So I think today we're going to be looking at 4 different pieces of legislation, which, quite frankly, all 4 are a direct attack to the governance of the district in Washington, D.C., which, of course, we know is also an American city of over 700,000 residents. You know, D.C. has more residents than 2 states. D.C. taxpayers pay federal taxes more per capita than any other state. And D.C. as a whole contributes more total federal taxes than 12 states. It pays more in total federal income tax than 19 other states. And more than 8,000 D.C. residents currently serve in the military and can be sent to war to fight for our country and our values. But they, of course, do not have full representation. Now, D.C. is not a state. And we're certainly not debating statehood here today, which, of course, a lot of us, and personally I certainly do believe in. But we do know that while the Constitution created Washington, D.C. as a federal district, the Founding Fathers always wanted self-governance for D.C. Madison wrote that the Constitution meant for D.C. and what it meant, even before it was ratified in 1788. He wrote, and I want to quote, "A municipal legislature for local purposes derived from their own suffrages will, of course, be allowed." Now, of course, D.C. should have self-government. I hope that's something we could all agree on, and that's what certainly democracy means. And that's how our system works best. D.C.'s government is and should be held accountable to the people who live here, and local leaders should be empowered to solve problems without Congress intervening. I've said this many times. Now, if folks wanted to get involved in city politics, or if the president wants to run the district, he should resign from the presidency and run for mayor. Folks can run for city council if they want to get involved in local government. I was a council member back in my hometown. I was a mayor of my city for 8 years. It is a great job. And I know that we all claim to love local government, and we know that local government can do great things. But we shouldn't sit here in Congress and pretend we are a super city council lording over residents who reject the proposals that we put in place. Now, today the majority is proposing 4 bills, which we believe, as Democrats on the committee, attack D.C.'s right to self-governance. Now, and we know D.C., of course, is a unique city, and we all want it to be safe. And by the way, in the last few years, the city of D.C. and the district has actually become safer. And the crime rate has actually decreased over the last few years. These 4 bills move the district in the wrong direction, and I want to briefly touch on all. The first is 5125, the Judicial Nominations Reform Act. That would eliminate D.C.'s Judicial Nomination Commission and give the president sole power to choose local judges. This is crazy. Right now, there is a commission right now made up of appointees, which include an appointee of the president, that actually go through the judges and they present to the president options for selection. This would bypass that entire process and allow the President of the United States to directly appoint judges who are involved in municipal affairs for the city. It is wrong and maybe one of the most egregious bills that the majority has presented in this package of bills. H.R. 4922, the D.C. Crimes Act, removes judges' discretion in sentencing young adults. This bill would essentially ban judges from waiving mandatory minimums for young offenders. In D.C. courts, adults are not treated like children. This bill applies to young adults who are prosecuted as adults by the U.S. attorney. And essentially, the bill removes flexibility for judges to work with those in front of the court that would actually hurt public safety. Moving this forward would not make D.C. safer. And it's interesting, the sponsor of this bill is from Florida, and Florida has the same right now policies that D.C. adopted, yet the author is not pushing these changes in his home state. And so I would hope that we would leave the district alone. Now, the next bill that we're discussing is H.R. 5140, the Juvenile Sentencing Reform Act. Again, incredibly horrendous, in my opinion. This would let children as young as 14 be tried as adults and sent to adult prison. The science is clear. Putting kids in adult prisons increases reoffending and deepens racial disparities. More than 90% of D.C. youth who are involved and who are before our courts, more than 90% are black children. And this bill would make things worse, not safer. We should not be treating 14-year-olds as adults. Then we have HR 5143, the Policing Protection Act, which would overturn DC's rules on high-speed police chases. Now, we know that DC is a dense community. It is actually one of the most walkable cities in the United States. And this new law essentially allows police officers discretion to begin high-speed chases in neighborhoods and communities without consideration if it's actually necessary at that moment. And just so everyone on the Rules Committee is aware, if you look at high-speed chases across the country, and certainly here locally, half of the people that are injured in high-speed chases are pedestrians, are people that are actually not involved in the high-speed chase. So we should be allowing DC to create its own policies for transportation systems. And so just to conclude, we oppose all these bills. These bills are opposed by DC residents, by the mayor, by the council. We should reject them. We should allow DC to govern itself. And with that, I thank my friend in the majority and certainly want to thank the Rules Committee. Thank you.
All right, the gentleman yields back.